I took my gun out my holster and I put it under my seat. They put me in handcuffs, they searched me, then they ended up putting out a felony warrant for my arrest. I stayed on the run for about a whole year. All right, what's going on YouTube, man? It's Shot by Zion. We're back with another video for y'all today, man. And today, it's gonna be another different video than the usual that we do on here on the channel. Because after doing this for about, what, 5, maybe 6 years now, but really 5 years since I've been taking it seriously, that it was time that I actually came on here and gave you guys some type of real life story, you know, to give you a little backdrop of where this started and where my channel started. So in today's video, I'll be sitting here and telling you the story about how a felony made me a YouTuber. So starting all the way back in about 2018, I started doing this whole photography car journey thing. And basically I started out doing just photography, like I said. So I would go to the car shows, I'd take my little pictures with my iPhone X that I had at the time. I would edit them and then I'd post them onto Instagram and stuff. And then after so long of doing that, I upgraded up to doing videos. That's when I actually came up with my name, Shot by Zai, and went from there. Well, also during this time, if you guys watch my channel, which I doubt many of you did, unless you're from around my area. If you watch my channel back then you guys would have known that whenever I was out doing my first few videos of like when I would go and do the street races and I'd go out there and flag the cars when they'd be racing and everything.
You ready? You ready? Yeah!
And almost every video, if you go back and look, I'm sitting there thinking I'm slick because the whole time I'm recording and I'm trying to hide the fact that I'm in a full-blown work uniform, right? What's up, YouTube, man? Today I get out to some drag races in Mexico. So we're gonna go home, get changed, and we're gonna head out to Mexico. So then if you go back and you look at my older videos, you'll see that basically almost every video I was in my work uniform out at night when I should have been at work to go out and get this content. And the job that I had was actually armed security. And I know everybody's probably like, man, what?
Look, dun, 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 like a damn snitch.
What? But basically I did armed security fresh out of high school. Well, I was unarmed first, and then going on into my second year of doing the security job, I basically got my certifications through Opaga. To go ahead and get armed, right? But because of the stipulations in the federal law versus state law, you know, there's basically different minimum ages that you have to be able to possess or purchase a firearm of certain kind. So basically the loophole that they had me doing was the fact that if I was on duty, I could carry, but if I was off duty, basically it's like I'm on my own. So one morning, I used to work third shift, so one morning I got off work. My friend had hit me up basically saying somebody had broken into his apartment and stole a whole bunch of stuff. As soon as I got off work, I instantly went out to his apartment and see what was going on. So then when we get out there, or when I pull up to his apartment, you know, the police and stuff was already there. So I was like, you know what, let me just go ahead and take my gun out the holster, because I'm in full uniform, bro. Like, I'm talking baton, pepper spray, gun, everything, you feel what I'm saying? So I took my gun out my holster and I put it under my seat. That way I just didn't walk in the apartment in my security uniform while armed when the cops are already up there, you know, just trying to play it smart. And this was around the time when I want to say it was Forza Horizon 4 or maybe 5. One of them had just came out. So after all that happened, basically me and my boy, we sat there and we played the game for a little bit. Yeah. And then at that point, I say probably about 10, 11 o'clock come around, I leave to go back to the east side to come home. But as I was driving through the east, I realized, I'm like, man, shit, let me go ahead and stop at the bank, because I was trying to apply for my first credit card, because like I said, I was only like 19 at the time. So I wanted to apply for my first credit card, trying to get some credit going. So I remember I pulled up at the bank and I applied for the credit card, got approved, everything was good. And then I go to leave the bank. And I noticed as I pull out, you know, there's a couple cops going up and down the street, you know, nothing major, nothing out of the ordinary compared to normal. So I ain't think nothing of it. So then I pull out the bank and I'm driving up the street, and I'm probably about 4 blocks away from the first light that I can see down the street. And as I'm coming up to the light, there's this cop that came down the opposite direction from where I was going, and he was at that light and he had his left turn signal on to turn as I was coming up. Well, as he seen me coming, he basically stopped in the intersection and never completed his turn or whatnot. As I'm coming up, he waits for me. And as soon as I pass him in the intersection, he hurried up and tried to flip a U-turn, which he couldn't because he didn't have enough room because he was in a fat ass Ford Explorer. Well, literally as he's getting caught in his U-turn to try and basically get behind me for whatever reason that he wanted to, there was another car that pulled out of the street from the right that he was about to turn left onto. Does that make sense? So a car came out from the right and it was a Crown Vic. He gets behind me, turns his lights on instantly and pulls me over. I'm not thinking nothing of it at this point. I mean, it's 10 in the morning. I just got off work. I'm in full uniform. Not knowing, well, I did know, but not realizing that the fact that if they pull me out the car and search the car, that if I get caught with my work firearm at that moment because I'm not working, then it would be an improper carry and CCW, right? But I wasn't worried about that because I knew, I mean, you guys, they have to have something in order to get you out of the car and figure all that stuff out. In my head, that's what I was thinking. But of course not, man. They pulled me over, apparently for not having a front plate at the time, which was crazy because they ended up passing a law, like literally like a couple days after, like it went into effect a couple days after, that we didn't need a front plate anymore. As soon as they walk up to my car, they're like, "Oh yeah, Mr. Hill, step out the car for me." Huh? Why? You know, I was confused on really why. So, I mean, I kind of put up a little bit of an argument, but then, you know, obviously they're just going to pull you out the car anyway. So then I got out the car. I remember they took me out, they put me in handcuffs, and they started searching me or whatever. This is all instant, like boom, boom, boom. Next thing you know, they run a K9 around my car, which as I'm sitting in the back of the cop car, I'm thinking the whole time, like, all right, we're good. I know I'm good, you know.
Wrong.
Of course, the K9 hits, and I'm not going to lie. Back in my time of the car that I used to drive, I did dabble a little bit here and there, you know. So I can't confirm nor deny whether the dog smelled something or not, because I mean, at least I know there was nothing in there. So then after the dog alerted, at that point, I already knew that I'm cooked, right? So when they came back and it was like, "Oh yeah, the dog alerted, we're gonna do a search," and whoop-de-whoop, I kind of was just like, all right, man, I mean, my work firearm is in the car up under the seat, whoop-de-whoop. So I told them about all that. Not really, I mean, at that point I'm caught, you feel me? So they put me in the car. I remember they go and they get the gun out and shit. And it's like, I remember sitting there because my whole life, I ain't gonna lie, I did want to be a cop. So I did kind of like tread on both sides. You know, I would get in trouble, but the fact that I did want to later on grow up and become a cop, it kind of deterred me away from getting into a lot of trouble, like really doing some real stupid stuff and actually getting caught for it. So I was very, you feel me, strategic with everything that I did to try and keep my record clean so I could be a cop later on in life. That was just my childhood dream. They obviously find the firearm. I get booked with CCW and improper handling of a vehicle. And then the cherry on top was the fact that whenever they apparently searched my car, mind you, like I said, I didn't have anything. They just magically found a 1.00 of a gram of some Mary Jane supposedly in the car. Not a 0.8, not a 1.5, not a 1.9. They found exactly a 1.00. Make it make sense. They either rounding up or they rounded down. Something ain't making sense there. Cap. I just know it was cap. So they take me down, they book me, and I sit. And mind you, it's a Friday. Whole time it's a Friday. So I'm thinking I'm cooked, bro. I'm cooked. It's Friday. I'm about to be here all day today, tomorrow, the next day, and I ain't gonna get out until maybe Monday. You feel what I'm saying? But then come Saturday, bro, I ain't gonna believe this. Saturday morning came around, bro. They woke me up at like 10 or 7 in the morning. Really, they woke me up like, "Hey, Mr. Hill, you gotta go downstairs and get fingerprinted, whoop-de-woo." So I get up and I go to. They set me out in this pod, like this little hallway outside the pod. And mind you, they woke me up at like 7 o'clock. I sat in this pod in this chair freezing until 10 in the morning, right? So then finally they come get me, take me downstairs, they fingerprint me and whatnot. And the detective, he was talking to me and he was basically saying like, "Damn, man, I was looking at your record, like it's your first charge, like it's your first real like bag charge." And I'm like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Man, stupid, bro. You basically like, bro, you just turned 19, you fucking up already." Like, I ain't gonna lie, he tore into me a little bit, no homo. But I remember asking him in a sense of like, basically I was like, from your experience with this type of situation, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you think I am? Basically, long story short, because because like I said previously, I was still in the mindset of kind of wanting to be a cop once I became old enough at 21. So I was more so just worried, like, man, how much is this going to impact me later on if I did pursue that career? And he basically kind of told me, like, man, you'll be all right. Like, this ain't nothing. Like, I've seen way worse. And then he basically sent me on my way. And I'm guessing we just had a nice enough talk that finally, once I got back up to the pod, as soon as I got back up there, they was like, Hill, you're getting detective released or something like that. So they was like, pack your shit and I don't want to see you back. So I'm like, what? Nigga, I ran upstairs, grabbed my shit. I'm out, right? I ain't trying to ever come back there. So fast forward, right? This probably about, I'm out, I already got out, you know, and started living my normal life again, not thinking nothing of it. So about 6 months into it, apparently they had went ahead and sent me an indictment. And mind you, before they even let you out on any type of OR, bond, anything like that, they make sure you update your address, your information, your name, all that good stuff, right? That way, if they do indict you or have to come get you, they know where to come, right? So about 6 months after all this happened, apparently they indicted me and sent it to an address that I didn't live in since I was a teenager. You know, I was a teenager still at that time, but I didn't live in this house since I was still in high school, like my early years of high school. And with them knowing my current address, because they made me update my information before I left, it was only like, I know they could have sent me the paperwork to my right house, but they didn't. So they basically indicted me for it, for the CCW charge. They ended up dropping the improper handling. Obviously I didn't get the paperwork, so I never went to court. Obviously you don't go to court, you get a warrant out for your arrest. So then they ended up putting out a felony warrant for my arrest in 2020, about the summer of 2020 or so, a little bit before the summer of 2020. And at this time, I didn't realize it, because at that point, because right after I got out of jail 6 months prior, I lost my security job. So at that point, I started focusing more on YouTube heavily, and then I was doing my little DoorDash gig on the side. So around the summer of 2020, at this point, I'm realizing, like, man, I gotta go hard for this YouTube. I need to get my name out there. So I was traveling to Detroit.
Damn, he just started nigga Hellcat, bro.
Indianapolis. We went to what? We went to Houston, LA, Orlando. And finally, we went to Seattle too. But then in Orlando, finally the last stop of 2020, I'm down in Orlando, not having a time of my life, not even realizing that when I got pulled over again out there, that I was gonna have a warrant. And it was just funny, the way I found out was just the funniest thing ever, right? Because I got pulled over in Orlando, like I said, for having my car with, I had tinted taillights on that car, my old car. I was leaving a takeover out there, and obviously they were just looking for a reason to pull anybody over. So they pulled me over, said it was because of my taillight tint, and it just went from there. And I remember them walking up to the window, and they were just like, oh yeah, how you doing? Like, how's your night going? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm good. I'm just down here from Ohio, and He's like, I'm just telling him, like, I'm not from down here. And they was like, oh, well, are you moving down here, or are you just visiting? And I'm like, yeah, I haven't decided yet, you know, I'm just down here visiting for right now. And he was like, all right, well, I'm gonna go back here, I'm gonna run your name and all the good stuff, and we'll just get you out of here. So I'm like, okay. So he goes back and he runs my name, and I'm sitting there, and both of the Orlando cops walk back up and like, well, Mr. Hill, they're like, looks like you're staying. And I'm looking at them like, huh? Like, what do you mean? And they're like, yeah, we can look you up, and you have a felony warrant for your arrest up in Ohio. And it was like, we ain't gonna extradite. You can see probably in my face, I'm probably like, bruh, ain't no way. Because I'm thinking they about to book me right here in Orange County. So I'm like, man, here we go, bruh. And they looked at me and they was like, nah, we're not gonna book you, because we don't extradite to Ohio, and they're not gonna come get you. But if you go up to Ohio or any borderline states of Ohio, they're definitely gonna come get you at any point if you go up there. So I'm like, okay, bet. So it looks like I'm staying. So I ended up staying down in Florida. If y'all see the era of when I was in Florida, I was down there for almost a whole year, because I'm like, man, I ain't trying to go up there and deal with this. I don't know what's going on. So I basically stayed on the run for about a whole year. Finally, I realized, like, man, stuff down here ain't working in Florida, and I'm gonna have to go home at some point. And I can't be exiled from my home, like my home state, bro. You feel what I'm saying? That would make no sense. I remember I ended up calling a lawyer. Shout out my boy Gus Deek, that boy, and he threw them gloves on and got to work, right? We got everything taken care of. I did, in the end, get probation for a year, based on the carrying concealed weapon charge. And then that 1 year turned into 2 years because, you know, your boy was fucking up. Basically, by this point, I got arrested. This was December of 2019. I got arrested. Come time that I'm finally getting off probation and everything like that is probably about towards the end of 2023. So like this is fairly recent, bro. Like my YouTube channel probably started taking off in about early 2023. That's when I first hit my first 100K. I think it was about April. And we just been trying to live it up ever since, bro. Because I couldn't leave the state. I couldn't do anything. Don't get me wrong, I can freely say it now. I was out here wilding, bro. Y'all can see on my videos. Even my PO, I ain't gonna lie. She would see my videos and be like, were you here this time? And I'd be like, nah, that was from a long time ago. Like I just had that footage saved, you know? So I would always cap to her and let her know, like, nah, that was old. That was before I got put on probation. And she would look at me like, yeah, all right. But in the end, man, it all worked out. Here we are. We got our dream car. We're doing crazy numbers on the YouTube. We got our in the end, we was able to get our felony expunged and our record sealed. We're sitting at a whopping 231,000 YouTube subscribers, which is insane. If you want to add up my TikTok, my Facebook that we lost, my Instagram and the YouTube, we're well over 300,000 total followers. On top of that, we got like 197 or 198 million total channel views on YouTube alone, which is just insane to me, bro. Because back when all this was going on, I remember I was getting geeks for every 5 subs that I got, every 10, shit, every 1. And now the fact that we're probably going through days where we might hit 1,000 subs in a day, we might get 500 in a day. And it's just insane, bro. After such a short period of time, which I mean, I know 5 years really isn't that short period of time, but for something like this, for us to be able to elevate so much and to keep going to the next level with every year that comes. And I want to say thank you guys to everybody who supports the channel. And I know times are hard for everybody, but if you guys want to actually help support this build in terms of affording bigger and better stuff in the future, I will have a Patreon set up. Or I do have a Patreon set up, which is like $1.99 a month, nothing crazy. And also on top of that, you'll get some exclusive content on there. And all the car meets and takeovers and crazy stuff that I have to take off of YouTube will be put on that as well. So if you liked all that crazy stuff and you want to see some exclusive content that won't be on YouTube anymore, head on over to my Patreon. That'll be linked down in the description in the pinned comment. Let me know in the comments how you guys feel about this video. Was it a good one? Should I do more story times like this? Because I ain't gonna lie, I've had a crazy life, gang. I got a lot of stories I could tell, bro, but this is just one of the main ones that I felt like would be most important since it was in the beginning of my YouTube journey and it kind of like shaped the path for everything and how it is today. So I ain't gonna lie, I ain't gonna sit here and talk y'all ear off much longer. I done said enough. If you ever dealt with something like this in your life, I would love to hear your story in the comments, man. Let me know where you started, how it started, and where'd you end up in the end, man. Leave in the comments, let me know something. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that hype button. Since there's so many buttons now. And I'll see you guys on my next video.
Swear I'm trying to change my life, but end up back up in these streets. With my back against the wall, and a hammer in my reach. Keep a hit me in my car, we see the law, you hear it screech.